Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ed Lyon from Tax Coach Software, and welcome to today's presentation of Get Off the Wheel with Diane Gardner. I want to start off by giving you a little insight into the life of the partner in charge of making stuff up at Tax Coach. We are, I think, rightfully proud of the community of members that we've established across the country over the last 12 years. And it's attracted notice. It's probably no secret to you that plenty of people who would like to reach you try to do it through us. And we have no shortage of people who come to us with a pet idea, a pet strategy, or a pet product that they would like us to endorse to you in the form of a webinar. We do our due diligence and we say no to most of them. We really do take this responsibility to you pretty seriously. But every so often, someone comes along with something that is so compelling that we want to make the introduction to you. And Diane's Get Off the Wheel presentation, her program, is one of those programs. Those of you who have met Diane over the course of the years that she's been involved with Tax Coach have seen a pretty amazing transformation. Diane is getting red in the face as I'm saying this, but she started out as the typical mousy enrolled agent running her own practice in the cosmopolitan urban center of Rathdrum, Idaho. And over the course of her association with Tax Coach, has gained the confidence to really shed that old persona, to shed that skin and come out as the badass tax warrior princess. Diane has completely transformed her own practice, and along the way gained the confidence to create the Get Off the Wheel program, which takes the lessons that she's learned about running a busy tax and accounting practice and turned it into a done-for-you program. So, Diane, now that you are thoroughly red in the face, I'm going to go ahead and turn the program over to you and let you begin.
Thank you, Ed. I'm sure glad there isn't a webcam because my face is a little red. So I'm going to start with this first slide and just would like to have you raise your hand on GoToWebinar if you guys feel like this accountant in this cartoon. He says, I'm the designer, the marketer, the accountant, the salesperson, the developer, the cook, the office manager, the company owner, the employee, the coffee maker, the secretary, the intern. And of course his doctor is saying, well, you've got the worst case of multiple personalities that I've ever seen. Because I would say most of us probably either feel like this or have felt like this person, because I certainly did. It's quite common for most small to medium-sized accounting firms to operate this way. As owners, we wear so many different hats, which take us away from what we really want to do, which is just serving our clients. We find ourselves working way too many hours due to all the interruptions that we have and the huge number of plates that we have in the air. We often think if we can just work harder, it will get easier. So today I promise to leave you with the resources that'll help to change your business from being like this accountant in the picture who is overworked and stressed out to one who can create a business that you love. So what is it costing you to operate without a complete set of systems and procedures in place for all aspects of your business? Is it costing you time? Are you working too many hours? Are you losing time that could be spent with your family or friends? Is it costing you freedom? Do you feel like you're chained to your desk and you can't leave your office for fear that it won't run well in your absence? How about your health? Are you grabbing fast food or even just skipping meals because you know your body's paying the price? How about profit? Do we have deadlines that are getting missed? Do you have mistakes that get made and then that requires projects to be redone? Do you have trouble keeping staff, which then results in increased training costs and inefficiency? How about billings that aren't done timely? That's money that's sitting there that you're not collecting because it's not billed. Or losing clients just because they're unhappy. Or chasing receivables. All these things are costs that can be affecting you in your practice. I love this picture because this was me a few years ago. I had built a business that I hated. I was working way too many hours. I was completely stressed out, and I had constant interruptions by my staff and my clients. I had cash flow challenges. There was times when I wondered how in the world I was going to even make payroll. I couldn't find and keep good help, and I wasn't happy with many of the clients I had. And the worst part was I didn't know how to change this picture. I had bought into the lie that said if I just work harder, I'll be more successful and everything will be better. Well, once the recession hit in 2008, I was in really deep trouble. Many of my clients were in the construction industry, and they were greatly affected by that crash in the real estate market. They began going out of business, and of course, they left owing me lots of money. Unfortunately for me, I had just purchased my office building in 2007 at the height of the real estate market. I was in trouble, and I didn't have a clue about what to do about it. So after much prayer and thought, I decided that I needed to learn about marketing so I could try to find some better clients, because Ed's always talking about, being picky, who we want to pick up as a client. And we all know that most accountants really stink at marketing. So I began reading books and taking classes and listening to webinars. I was desperate for knowledge. Once I learned how to utilize some marketing in my business, all the other problems became very evident. I was a completely stressed out mess. So today I want to share my story. I want to talk about how I went from being overworked and stressed out to having a business that I love today, where I was able to increase my revenue by 150% just this year. And then I want to show you the path that you too can follow to create a business that you love. And for those who stay on for the whole call, at the very end, I have a free gift for you. A few years ago, I read the Emyth Accountant, and then from that book, I learned that I needed to move from just being a technician in my business to being a manager and start managing my practice so it could grow. This was about the time that I had several discussions with Ed as we were all talking about the need for practice management. And here again, I didn't know what to do, so I started reading books and attending conferences and watching webinars and listening to podcast interviews and investing in coaching because I was desperate. There was lots of people talking about the need for systems and procedures, but I couldn't find anyone who was offering examples of what they were talking about, or maybe even a done-for-you system. I was positive that if I could just figure this out, my business would run smoothly, and I'd be a much, much happier person. In my research, I found that 95% of accountants in the small and medium-sized offices were having the same problems as I was. I wasn't alone. But that didn't help me with finding the answer. I just found a whole bunch of people that were suffering like I was. There was nobody or nothing that I could find that would teach me how to scale my business without making me feel even more overwhelmed. Well, finally, I came across somebody who was offering a done-for-you systems and procedures program for the grocery industry. I immediately purchased the program, and I used their system as a template for my own office. And I know that probably sounds silly, but I was desperate. During that time, I invested many hours and thousands of dollars on coaching to learn what works and what doesn't work. Everything radically changed when I started implementing the tools that I had learned. So then I spent the next 4 years documenting and studying each of these 5 areas in my business. I looked at the structure, the development, where we wanted to be, where we were today, where we wanted to go, specialization. Did I need to come up with a niche or even more than one? How to network and market. That's not an area that's comfortable for me. Still isn't, but I'm working on it. And ultimately looking at our customer service. And I want to tell you, it was worth every dime that I spent and every hour that I invested. About this time, I hired a gal in the position of a scribe. She followed us around the office, and she recorded the various functions of each person on my team. We then took that information and began putting together our first systems and procedures manual. We spent about a year of her just going from staff person to staff person to staff person, sitting with us as we did various functions throughout the course of the day. Then we spent the next 2 years refining it so that it worked each and every time. I even tested it on people like my mom, who is not an accountant or even a bookkeeper.
You mean you didn't put mom to work during the season? What kind of family
No.
support are you?
No, but I figured if she could follow our procedures, then anyone could. So by this time, I was beginning to feel some relief and knew that I had found the secret sauce. Practice management is the most important area of your business, and without it, your marketing just can't work effectively. You're going to lack efficiency.
I'm gonna break in, Diane, because that really is so important. It's something that we've found in our tax coach group meetings, particularly the mastermind meeting in October that brings together the top tax coach members from across the country. My first love is marketing, and I'm not in the role of managing a tax practice anymore. So I expected that the bulk of the conversation and the questions in the masterminding meeting would be about marketing. They are not. 2/3 of the questions are about practice management. And one thing that we found, much to our surprise, is we take new tax coach members who join us with a marketing problem. We solve their marketing problem usually pretty quickly, but end up giving them a practice management problem, which is a permanent problem and a lot harder to solve.
It is. And I will attest, I was one of those that you gave me solutions from my marketing, but once that marketing started working, everything else just became so evident that I had it all in my head. I didn't have it in a place where my staff could utilize that information. We had to do a brain dump from my head onto paper so that they could see it. So my question to each of you listening is, what's your solution? I know it's not practical for each of you here today to spend thousands of hours and tons of money and years trying to replicate the steps in the path that I followed to find a solution. And that's why I have come up with a simple step-by-step, easy-to-follow process that gets you to more money and more time freedom quickly. So we've developed what we call a simple two-step system. Step number 1 is to develop the systems and procedures. It's amazing the difference systems and procedures made in my office. It allowed me to require each staff member to do processes the same way each and every time. So I want you to pause a minute and think about McDonald's. No matter where you go across the country, you can expect the same product, the same output, the same basically amount of time it's going to take, because they send their franchisees to their university, and that's where they train them on these processes and systems. So this in turn has increased the quality of our output. It's also increased our efficiency, which of course then has increased our bottom line. And on a side note, I can tell when a staff member tries to go around our system because it starts to break down pretty quickly and mistakes begin to show up. Step number 2 is hiring the right people. This one's a little bit bigger challenge because some of us are not located in larger metropolis areas. As Ed alluded to, my Rathdrum, Idaho population of a whole 6,000 people.
Yes, I think Rathdrum is what used to be referred to as a one-horse town.
I think so. So anyhow, to hire those right people, you need to develop a hiring system. Without the right people, you can work yourself to death and not make the progress that you want to make. Your team needs to buy into your vision for the business, and they need to understand your why. And I always highly recommend for everyone to read Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why. There's a chapter in there that talks about helping your staff understand your why. And when I got to that, it's like the light bulb went on. I knew what my why was, but my staff didn't know it. And so we had to come into alignment on what is my why and find a staff who had similar whys. And you need to lead your team members well, which requires you to grow and become the leader that your team deserves. Now you need to empower them. You need to give those team members the ability to make decisions, and you can't micromanage during this process. You've got to trust the system that you've built and the team that you've hired. You need to get buy-in from your team by helping them to understand your vision and then aligning themselves. Individually, you can make small accomplishments, but together you become an unstoppable force, which is why we now work nationwide instead of just limited to our little small town. The payoff of this is I've doubled the size of my practice 3 times, and I'm not out there buying up other firms and stuff to make that happen. That is us working together as a team and reaching beyond our natural boundaries. This is something I never thought would happen to me. After all, we're located in this little small town of 6,000 people. And we don't have this abundant stream of prospects that some of you have that are located in bigger cities. So more of the payoff is I've now authored 10 books. So when Ed challenged me to write a book, I'm kind of a little bit of an overachiever, I guess, because I've got 10 books out there now.
Where's the off switch?
I got another one I'm in the process with right now.
Oh, good
But as
Lord.
a result of those, I get interviewed on a very regular basis. I've come to really enjoy these interviews because it allows me to share some of what I know about tax planning with people who are so hungry for the information. In addition to just becoming an author, I was able to pick up some time freedom. And that has allowed me to attend conferences across the country, both as an attendee and as a speaker, with no worries about what is happening at my office while I'm gone. I can take a vacation when I want, again, with no worries. I've developed a waiting list of people wanting to work with me, all due to that celebrity that comes along with the books and the interviews. We have a large client appreciation event. This is now an annual event that we have every August. In fact, this last month, we had about 75 clients show up to this event. They love being made to feel special. We have a catered meal. We have entertainment for them. We give out all kinds of awards to our clients. So it's one more way that helps us to stand out amongst the other accountants. And we have several towns around us, and we draw from all those towns for clients. And we get comments constantly about how much they love coming to that event. It's also given me a little bit of a celebrity status. People take my phone calls now. Before, I was just a nobody that I had a hard time getting through the gatekeepers. Now they've heard of me and they're willing to listen. I don't chase people to become clients. They now wait for me, which is pretty awesome.
They chase you.
They do.
Better to be chased than do the chasing.
Oh, it's much, much, much better. Get to play a little bit of hard to get that way.
It's fun.
As they say on TV, but wait, it gets even better. I was able to raise our fees by 25% this year. That came after attending last year's Tax Coach Mastermind event in October. After asking a lot of questions from other Tax Coach members, we were assured it would be, to our benefit to do it. So we decided to raise our fees by 25%. Well, on top of that, this last tax season, we were running extremely short-handed. So we had to cancel all the tax appointments that I normally held. And at the same time, we raised their fees by 25%, which is a pretty significant hit to my clients. And what was the outcome? We are on track this year to increase our total revenues by at least 150% from last year. This was a scary decision that turned out to be amazing. And this is something I could not have done previously. It would have backfired and turned into the biggest disaster. But because of the positioning and the systems and the procedures and stuff that we've done, it worked out fantastically. So thank you, Ed, for pushing me in that area.
You're absolutely welcome.
I want to talk just for a little bit about how to develop systems and procedures, because now I'm just like everybody else. I've told you the need for them, but I didn't tell you how to do them yet. So in my office, we started out with just some basic checklists. And that helped with quality control, because then I could make sure that the various steps were being done in different areas of my business. And I want you to stop and think about the airline pilot who goes through a complete checklist before taking off each and every time. So we have checklists for things like onboarding a new client, taking in a tax return, processing payroll, preparing quarterly payroll tax returns, various bookkeeping functions, income tax preparation, hiring a new team member. We're kind of becoming a checklistaholic because I love them because the staff has to sign off that they've done all the steps. And it keeps my staff from going around the system and trying to do shortcuts. Then next, we started developing procedures and forms for every task that we did. And this is part of that whole year where we hired a scribe to follow us around. So now we've got procedures that explain how to do things, and when appropriately, we have forms to back those up. Then we started pulling these procedures together and documented the systems that control various procedures. Systems can be as simple as what takes place when you open your office each morning and close it each night. That system may consist of several procedures, such as unlocking your building and turning off the alarm, turning on the lights and the open sign, turning on the copier and any other machines. In each of those tasks could potentially have their own procedure as to how they should be done. And you string them all together for a system. So I want to show you just a few examples of some of the procedures that we've documented. And this is coming right from my All Staff Procedures Manual. Things like how to accept a payment from a client. And I'm proud to say I don't know how to do that because I have on purpose not read that page except to edit it because I don't want to be the person taking those payments. What happens if there's an accident on company time? How to handle that? We have an annual cleaning day on Christmas Eve. We're open till noon, and we just give this office a thorough cleaning. And so that's talked about. How do we do it? Confidentiality, conflict resolution, how to correct a whipped entry in our time program, how to create a system, talking about our dress code. If somebody is to use their own car on company business, what happens if an error is made? How to send a fax. We have a form that goes along if we actually do have to send a fax. And here's some more, just some general maintenance and how to enter time, how to reboot the whole internet system, how to fill out a daily timesheet, keeping your areas clean and neat, kitchen duties, mileage reimbursement entries, office supplies, and a checklist to make sure we're not forgetting anything, how to open and close that office, outside appearance around our building. These are just a small example of the procedures. And by the way, we make all of these procedures available to members of our Get Off the Wheel program, of which we've got almost 300 different procedures that we've put into this program so far. So I want to talk a little bit about hiring the right people. Your team needs to understand the value in the services that you provide. If they don't get this important truth, they won't be tracking with you and they might even sabotage you. I've had this happen a few times in the past. When their why is aligned with yours, they'll work in tandem with you as a well-functioning team. So I'm always looking for these characteristics, things that a person is a team player. I tell my staff all the time, there's no islands allowed, no lone wolves. They have to work together as a team, and that gives our client a much better experience. They need to have a good work ethic, looking for people who are willing to come in early and stay late, and they care about the work that they do, and that they have a desire to serve. They want to serve our clients and make a difference in people's lives, that they have high integrity, they're completely trustworthy, and that they're engaged. They want to take ownership of their part of this business, and they are proactive about it. They're not sitting there waiting for me to tell them to do every single little tiny thing that needs to be done, because I don't micromanage. It's your job to lead your team, to be the leader that they deserve. And so one of the ways to do that is to be respectful, thoughtful, and compassionate. Our team members are people with feelings and needs. Many of them are raising young children or teenage children, heaven forbid. They may even be caring for older parents. So be understanding of their unique situations. Show appreciation. Let them know they are appreciated. In my office, we have these tokens called Extra Mile Token, and you can see the picture on your screen. When a team member catches someone going above and beyond, they can give a fellow team member a token. These tokens can be redeemed for 1 hour of paid time off. So my staff likes the flexibility of having hours that they need if they have a sick child or if they just need to take some personal time off or they want to leave early one day. They have their little group of Extra Mile tokens. They love them. Good communication is really important. It's important for us as owners to give clear direction and then make sure that your team understands your expectations. And then keep that staff in the communication loop. One of the things we do in my office is we have a morning and an end of day email. Our morning emails, we always say, here's what we plan to work on today. we're expecting a call back from so-and-so, or we're expecting this particular client to stop in, whatever, so that the whole team knows, and our admin team can handle so much of the stuff for us without coming back and interrupting us if they know what to expect. We also list 3 things that we're thankful for, because I want to start the day out positively. At the end of the day, they send an end-of-day wrap-up email saying, here's what we actually accomplished today, which helps to close those open files for myself and my managers. We're able to just mentally check off that, yep, these things got done. This is going to carry over to the next day. And so that has really helped us as far as staying tight as a team. We also have things like a client communication log, where we'll go in and we'll log the conversations that we've had with various clients, whether it's an email or a phone conversation, so that the next person talking to that client knows what's been said or what decision was made. Keeps clients from being able to play one person against another in the team. Alignment with your team is achieved by setting and communicating goals clearly. I like to motivate and reward my team. You saw my extra mile tokens. I also pay monthly commissions to my production staff. I have them set at an hourly rate plus a 10% monthly commission. So it allows them to be rewarded for their hard efforts, for staying late, coming in on a weekend, whatever it took to get that project done. They get rewarded by getting a commission and not having to wait for it for 6 months or something like that. Providing focus towards a common goal requires good communication from me and the other team members. It's important for us to define the objectives and responsibilities for each team member so that we know who is the best person to be working on which part of each project. And then always encourage your team by letting them know how important their role is in your team. In my office, always tell my team that there's no one position that's more important than another position. I don't care if you are the top accountant or the front desk receptionist. We can't do the best possible job for our clients without each and every team member working together. And you'll find that by building your team up, you'll keep them active, engaged, and happy. Then, of course, we need to get buy-in. And here's a few ideas for how to get some buy-in. Involve your entire team in some of your decision making. Now, I know you can't involve them in all of it, but you can involve them in some of it, especially when that change affects them. A good example for that is like when you're hiring some new staff. I always have various team members sitting in on the interviews. They get to weigh in on the person, and we make a team decision as to whether we're going to hire that person. Another area is back in that communication again, making sure that you have good communication. That helps to get buy-in. And then repeating things. When something's important, make sure you find ways to repeat yourself, whether it be in the form of emails and then face-to-face meetings, phone conversations. Sometimes they need to hear it more than once for it to stick. And then, of course, share stories. You can talk about facts all day long, but most people relate and hear you more when you tell a story or share an example that relates to the topic you're trying to describe. And then, of course, lastly is to walk the talk. Be an example. Your team's going to respect you more and be more willing to do their part if they see you doing yours. You need to be their leader. Empower your team. Let them show you what they can do. I always say that they do the actual day-to-day work, so hand it over. I try not to get involved in the middle of that part of it. I let them be the experts. Rely on them to make small, continuous improvements to your procedures and systems. They've definitely improved things over the last couple of years for me. Develop guidelines so they know how far they can take something before they have to consult you for a decision. Don't micromanage. And then empower them and watch what'll happen. I want to share a couple testimonials from 2 of my most recent new hires, because as we're growing, I'm adding new people to the team. First one is Shannon, who's one of my newest bookkeepers. She says, the Get Off the Wheel program gave me a great foundation to build upon. When I started my current position, I was able to utilize the procedures and teach myself the structure of how work flows and how to perform specific tasks relevant to my job. It's been a blessing to have written procedures while learning and teaching another new person, because now she's teaching Sherry, who's been with us just a couple weeks. And now I have Erin, my new office manager, says, as a new employee in an unfamiliar field, Get Off the Wheel was a game changer for me. Instead of being incredibly nervous and having to rely on other employees to learn the ropes during a busy season, I was able to sit and spend time going through systems and procedures that related to my position and that guided me step by step and helped lead me to success in becoming the best employee I can be in my new position. We all know that a happy team is a productive team. And we want your team to look forward to coming to work. So let them have fun while accomplishing your goals. When you have a fun work environment for your team, productivity increases. They accomplish more as a team than they do by themselves. When we have increased quality in our firms, we're able to reduce errors made by team members. And that's because we have them following checklists, following our procedures, which ultimately equals a higher quality output. Our team motto is to get it done right the first time. We follow our checklists, we follow our procedures, and we trust the systems that we've built. You have to give your team the necessary resources to understand and implement the goal. We have systems and procedures for all aspects of the business now. This really helps when it's time to train new team members or even to have those tough conversations with existing team members. I'm always able to ask, what does the procedure manual say? And sometimes you'll find that that existing person has gotten comfortable and they've forgotten what the procedure manual says. So consistency is key internally and externally for great communication. Your team needs to know and understand your expectations. These are the different types of freedoms that you're going to gain, and they will revolutionize your ability to grow. So time freedom means that you'll have less stress, fewer interruptions by having a good team and relying on the systems. I no longer have to be involved in all the day-to-day minutia. My team has resources and tools that they can use to answer most of their questions. Physical freedom is a freedom to be away from the office without worrying about the team, something I definitely couldn't have done before. It allows you to work fewer hours, travel, spend more time with family, whatever it is that you want to do to get you away from the office. It also allows for massive growth because now you can work on growing your business and on providing outstanding service to your clients. I have doubled the size of my business 3 different times over the last few years. Mind freedom is less time spent trying to figure out how to get your team to do what you want them to do, and allows you to spend more time on creating new programs or services or developing content or whatever it is that you want to spend your mind time on. And then, of course, financial freedom. Better clients and higher profits equals more money in your pocket. So what's the payoff of implementing systems and utilizing our 2-step process and then empowering your team? Would you like to be able to attend seminars, or how about make more money? Would you like to have the time to develop more content, or maybe time to lead a workshop or a seminar? How about increasing the quality of your firm's output? Or what about having more time to do something that you really enjoy doing? Or even the freedom to just do things that are important to you that you've had to put on hold over the years. What propels you from being stuck and overwhelmed to having a business that you love? You may not have even had time to think about this before because you've been so busy being on the wheel. So far we've talked about my journey and how I built a business that I hated that has now become a dream business. In fact, in 2016, I won the Dream Business of the Year award at Jim Palmer's Dream Business Academy. That was quite a surprise that my fellow attendees voted for my business out of all the people who were running for that position. We've also talked about the research I did and how during this time I found that 95% of accountants have the same problems. We've talked about the importance of practice management and its core aspects and the steps to developing systems and procedures. We've talked about the characteristics to look for when hiring the right people and how to lead them well and get them aligned. And we've also talked about the payoff of having a good team and systems, which is your increased quality and your various freedoms. So you can do this on your own in a 3 to 5 year time period, or you can spend thousands of dollars doing all the research and many thousands of hours developing your own systems and procedures, or I can offer you a shortcut, a fast way to transition your business and give you the freedom you deserve. During that time period when we had hired the scribe and were recording everything and just slowed down the whole process long enough to get all these procedures developed and stuff, I figure it cost me at least $40,000 for that to happen. And that was over a 4-year time period. So it was a huge financial hit that we took, but well worth every cent of it. So now let's hear what Christy Bender has to say, who is a fellow tax coach member. She says, I purchased Diane's Get Off the Wheel program a couple of months ago and strongly recommend it to other practice owners who find themselves frustrated with things such as constantly recreating the wheel to get things done in their office because they're the only one who knows how to do everything, and desperately wanting staff to be able to function more independently so they can do what they do best, which should not be anything the staff is asking about. Yearning for freedom from the how do I questions that then take up time and deplete mental energy, and a practice culture that isn't all it could be. I haven't yet customized the entire program for my office, but we're in the process of doing that week by week. Just the act of having staff work on the customization is developing a sense of buy-in for them. This isn't just my office anymore, it is our office. They're becoming more engaged in the daily processes that can create distraction and recognizing the importance of having easy to pick up systems at their fingertips. This change in the staff's attitude is fostering a better team culture in my office.
That's a heck of a report.
It is. And Christy's one of our newer members. She came to us last October, I believe. At the Mastermind event was her first event. So She goes on to say, I'm looking forward to being able to expand my practice and bring on new staff with much reduced training. I can't wait to have a complete go-to resource for all of us to depend on, so the actions taken are more consistent and therefore the results more dependable. But most of all, I am very much looking forward to having a practice that can run itself in many ways, thereby providing me the freedom I have always envisioned. There is not a doubt in my mind that this program can deliver all of this and much more. So Christy just became a member of the Get Off the Wheel program in May. So she's had just a few months to get working on this with her team. And looks like they're making some pretty good headway.
Looks that way.
It's daunting to think about spending all those hours doing practice management research and figuring it out all on your own. Once my business was running smoothly and successfully, I realized that I could actually save other accountants thousands of hours and many thousands of dollars if they could only have access to what I've already developed. And this is at the point where Ed started encouraging me to share this with other accountants. And so this is why I want to invite each of you into my Get Off the Wheel program. In our program, we have 3 modules. We have a module that covers bookkeeping and payroll, one that covers all staff, admin, and management, and one that covers the income tax. And there's over 100 unique procedures in each module. They're all customizable to fit your office needs. They're Word and Excel docs, so very easy to use and change and edit, make it fit your practice. There's no need to spend thousands of hours documenting the procedures yourself. You can take this basic set and take off enroll. Yes, you will add some new procedures to it that are unique to your office, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel from scratch like I had to do. Once you've implemented the Get Off the Wheel program, you'll no longer be on the wheel. You'll be able to work fewer hours because your staff will be able to operate successfully in your absence. You'll no longer have the financial stress or the amount of client or staff turnover that you currently have. Your staff will be able to gain full confidence in their work, and they'll gain ownership of projects and autonomous activity. Your team will be able to work independently. You'll improve your quality and increase your efficiency in your business. And you will gain success and freedom, and will be happy to hang the vacancy sign on your wheel. Many of you know Bev Smith. She's a long-term tax coach member. And she purchased our program a couple of years ago when we did the first rollout of it. back when it was still in its infant stage. And she says, my accounting department needed to get off the wheel and get a procedure manual written. This has been on our goal sheet for at least 18 months, but the day-to-day work has always pushed it to the back. Also, the staff just didn't know where to start on the project. It seemed too big. We purchased the procedure manuals, not because we wanted to do it just like another accounting office, but to give us a starting point for our own procedures. We took the accounting procedures document and tweaked it to fit our office. It was not intimidating for my staff to edit a set of procedures. It saved us a ton of time. Now we have an actual procedure manual that fits our office and not just a goal that is hanging over our heads. Thank you so much. So I want to give you a warning. Just like any other program that you purchase, if you purchase and you put it on the shelf and it starts collecting those cobwebs that you can see, it's not going to work. So we want to help you by developing a community. We want you to become part of our community. And so this is what we offer to the members of our community. We have a monthly virtual meeting called our monthly office hours. This is a short teaching time with live Q&A that to help you successfully implement each system and procedure, and then to also hold you accountable. This alone has a value of at least $2,500 a year. We also offer implementation help and support from my admin team. We have access to our members page on the website where you can download new and updated procedures. From our monthly calls, we have various offices who are willing to share their procedures and forms for things that we don't have in the program. And so as they send them to us, then we turn around and upload them onto the membership site. So it makes it a wonderful resource for everybody. We also have a private Facebook group. And this is a place where the accountant, owner person can go in and we can have discussions that really we can't have in front of our staff. Because I'm finding that we have several staff members attending the monthly office hours call. Various admins and people like that attending it. So we don't always have that freedom to talk about those hard things that we can do through the private Facebook group. So this program is for you if you provide accounting, bookkeeping, income tax preparation, or planning services, and you have at least one employee. You're ready to exchange a chaotic office for a streamlined, smooth running office with greater profitability. You want more consistency in the way things are done. Your clients would benefit from more quality control in your office. And you want to decrease your stress level and increase your peace of mind. You want to increase the level of customer service offered in your office. You want to feel free to be able to leave your office confidently knowing everything is running smoothly while you're gone. If the preceding slides describes you and you are ready to transform your business, here is how you enroll. Just go out to www.getoffthewheel.com, scroll down to the bottom of the page where you'll see the Buy Now button. Click the button, and once you're there, if you enter the coupon code TAXCOACH, it'll save you $500 off the original price of $29.95. But you must hurry. This special Tax Coach offer is only good for the next 3 days. After that, the price goes back up to $29.95, which is still a real bargain. Remember, it cost me about $40,000 to develop this for my own office.
You're fooling yourself if you think it only cost you $40,000.
Yeah, no, that's just what I could document on paper. That doesn't count all my lost time and stuff like that as we were building out this program. Yeah, it was huge, but it's sure nice now because it pays off with the way my office functions.
Right. It was an investment, not an expense, but it was a heck of a lot more than $40,000.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yep. I'm being very conservative with that figure. If you're not completely satisfied with the program, I offer a 90-day hassle-free money-back guarantee. You're probably thinking, Diane, you're taking all the risk by offering such a generous guarantee. Well, the only way I can offer this type of guarantee is because I know it works. You've heard testimonials from a couple of our members and from a couple of my own staff members. So here's an example of how quickly this program began making a difference in my office. I'm going to use Erin, my new office manager, as an example, she started working for us about 2 weeks ago. She immediately dove into those procedure manuals as she was being trained on various tasks. Armed with the manuals, she's tackled several good-sized projects without fear or, here's the key, endless interruptions of my time. In fact, I've spent minimal time with her, and I was able to concentrate on the business tax return deadline that we had last week. Previously, that wouldn't have happened. She would have been sitting there bored, waiting for me to spend some time with her. Another example of how this system worked in my own business is I had a bookkeeper who said she was following our systems and procedures. We started getting some comments and questions from our clients about some inconsistencies, which led me to pick up the bookkeeping procedures manual and our various checklists. Armed with this information, I sat her down for one of those uncomfortable talks about what was going on and found out that she was, quote, saving time by going around our systems and procedures. Her time savings ended up costing us hundreds of hours as we corrected all the different mistakes that had been made due to her cutting corners. She was fired right after this conversation and replaced by a wonderful bookkeeper who's happy to follow our systems and procedures. And a couple of years later, she continues to put out high quality work product each and every time. Direct hit to my bottom line with the one who was going around the systems. But before we wrap up, I want to share this profit multiplier with you. We've talked about the initial investment of only $2,495 to enroll in our Get Off the Wheel program. Some of you have admin teams and some of you don't. So for those who don't have an admin team, you may have to hire an admin person. And that may cost you somewhere between $30,000 to $40,000. Maybe it's only $20,000 to $30,000, depending on where you're located. And you're thinking, boy, that's a huge cost to have to involve by having to hire an admin to help you get your business to the point where you can work on it. Well, I want to show you that if you just sell one tax plan at a minimum of $2,500, you've covered your initial investment for getting onto the Get Off the Wheel program. Now, because your admin team is implementing systems and procedures, you've now freed up enough time in your own schedule that you can go out and sell an additional 10 tax plans, which results in about a minimum of about $30,000, which more than covers the cost of that admin team that you just hired. Well, now because they've continued to free up your time, you're able to sell at least another 10 additional plans, and that puts about $30,000 directly to your bottom line. So that's just a small example of how this works when you have systems and procedures in place in your office. At the beginning of the presentation, I told you I'd have a gift for those who stayed on until the end. You may or may not be ready to enroll in the program today. You might feel the need for more information or simply think you're not big enough or not ready for the program. So I'd like to give all of you a copy of my book called Get Off the Wheel, Systems and Procedures for Reduced Stress and Greater Profits. The book is free. All you have to pay is a low cost of $4.99 for shipping and handling. So to claim your copy, just go to getoffthewheelbook.com or getoffthewheel.com. Click on the tab that says Get Off the Wheel Systems and Procedures book. And that'll allow you to gather a lot of information. A lot of the stuff that we've talked about today came from that book. And for those of you who are already saying, yes, I want to sign up, I want to enroll in your program, I want to get my office set up and running because tax season's coming, you don't need to worry about going out there and claiming a copy of the book, because we'll be sending a copy of it to you so you can be reading it while you're waiting for your manuals to arrive. And now I'd like to open it up for questions, and just a reminder, don't forget to put in that coupon code of Tax Coach to save $500 off the price.
Also, this is probably a good time, Diane, I'm not sure that the handouts made it to the GoToWebinar control panel on the client appreciation event.
Okay.
So maybe if you could give an email address where anyone who would like can email you and get a copy of the client appreciation event system so that they can see exactly what these systems look like, and also maybe you can throw in a copy of the slides to the presentation because we had a couple of requests for those.
Sure, you bet. If you'll email me at Diane, D-I-A-N-E, at getoffthewheel.com, I'll be happy to send that over to you. And I'll even send them in the raw Word and Excel docs so that you can edit. Because when I sent them to Ed, I did it in a PDF, which means you'd have to recreate your own form. So I'll send them to you in the Word and Excel docs. And that way you can put on your own fantastic client appreciation event and have people buzzing about how you're doing it, why you're doing this, and why are you doing this as an accountant, and none of the other accountants are doing this. So it gives you a pretty good status in your local community. And I'd be happy.
Yes, and you tell people that's a good thing that I'm doing something that the other accountants aren't.
It's gotten me several new clients over the years. As we've, what do you mean? Your previous accountant isn't doing this for you? So yeah, it's a pretty good tool.
All right. We've got some comments, a couple of questions that I have answered along the way. If anybody has any questions for Diane, this is a great time to ask them. I think the best question is, how soon can I get started?
Immediately. Immediately. Don't let grass grow under your feet. As we're recording this, it is end of September. We have basically October, November, December, and then tax season kicks off. So you've got plenty of time to get this implemented and be ready for tax season.
All right, looks like that is it for questions and comments in the queue. Diane, I want to thank you. I want to thank the 70 of you who attended the presentation today. This is a system, and like all systems, it has evolved over several years. Diane, you really are selling yourself short when you say it's $40,000 that went into creating the system. Throw in the opportunity cost, and you're probably looking at a six-figure investment in creating it. It's a terrific price to let it go for everyone else in the community. Terrific success stories already, and if you really do feel like you're stuck on the wheel, this is a terrific way out with a terrific guarantee. So Diane is taking the risk. Diane, thanks for joining us. For the rest of you, if you had any interruptions during the presentation, we have recorded this presentation. We will have it up on the Tax Coach site shortly. And for the rest of you, take a look at the Get Off the Wheel system, give it a spin in your own practice, and let us know how it works for you. Thanks, everyone. And Diane, a big thanks to you.
Thank you, Ed. We'll see you all in October.
Terrific. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.